The sun has already slipped behind the low hills when Malcolm Lewis pulls into the parking lot of the corporate office. It's just another evening, one of many that have blurred together over the years. He can hear the hum of the engine shutting off, but the quiet still feels heavy. His hands grip the steering wheel, knuckles pale, and he takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of it all settle around him. It's been years since anyone took notice of him. The kind of years that stack up like dust in the corners of your home, unnoticed until someone else comes along and starts cleaning. To them, he's just the driver. They don't know he can hear everything, see everything, feel everything. But he's always been the observer, the one who watches, who stays silent, who does the work, never asking for anything more. His life is a patchwork of long shifts, early mornings, and car rides, transporting people who don't know or care that they only exist because of him. He flicks the turn signal on, pulling into a spot close to the back door. The office is quiet now, save for the faint sound of someone coughing inside. The air smells faintly of coffee and paper, a staleness that's become familiar. He doesn't need to see the clock to know that the workday is wrapping up. He's learned the rhythms of this place. Every corner, every door, every elevator button, like a well-rehearsed dance that nobody else can see. Malcolm steps out of the car, his boots scuffing the gravel. The door to the office building is heavy, but it swings open without hesitation. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, buzzing like 1,000 angry bees. He pulls the key from his pocket, his fingers cold against the metal. It's the kind of key that fits everywhere, the kind that doesn't stand out in a crowd, but when placed in the right lock, opens doors others can't even touch. Inside, the offices are dark, but a light flickers in the distance. It's coming from the boardroom, the place where deals are made, where lives are shaped, and where people like Malcolm are just names on the payroll. But tonight, it's different. Tonight, the voices are lower, more secretive. He can hear them even before he steps inside. Once the papers are signed, a voice says, sharp and confident, "This deal goes through, and the acquisition is ours." Malcolm stands still, hidden in the shadows by the doorway, watching through the crack in the door. The voice belongs to a man he's driven for years, a man who has never so much as acknowledged his existence. But tonight, there's something different in his tone, something Malcolm wasn't supposed to hear. "We'll make sure the paperwork is clean. No one will question the price." Another voice adds, quieter but no less firm, "The deal is already done. The company, the building, the land, all of it will change hands, all of it will be owned by someone else." Malcolm stands frozen, the weight of the conversation pressing down on him. He knows exactly what they're talking about. He knows the names, the stakes. He's heard it all, the promises, the lies, the way they pass the power from one hand to another, without ever giving a second thought to the ones who make it all happen. "They don't know." The first voice continues. "He's just the driver. He won't even know we've moved on." Malcolm's heart skips a beat. The driver, that's who he is after all. He's just the guy who gets them from point A to point B. He's never been more than that. He's used to being overlooked, to being treated like a ghost in the machine. But tonight, in the silence of the room, with their words hanging heavy in the air, something stirs inside him. Malcolm could walk away, pretend he didn't hear a thing. But instead, he stays rooted in place, listening to their plan unfold, to their casual disregard for what he's known all along. The deal, the acquisition, the town, it's all being sold off, and no one even notices the quiet driver in the corner. There's a moment of stillness, where the voices fade into nothing, and Malcolm feels it. The quiet pull of something bigger, something he's been blind to. He's never been more than a passenger in his own life, but right now, there's a shift. He's no longer just the driver. The revelation comes softly, as gentle as the ticking of a clock in the distance, but it's unmistakable. It's not about the deal. It's not about the money. It's about the power of knowing. He knows too much, and somehow that knowledge is about to change everything. A quiet strength begins to swell inside him. It's not dramatic, not loud, but in that stillness, in the way the room seems to grow smaller with every passing second, Malcolm understands. This moment, the one where he's overlooked, will be the one that leads him to everything he's ever wanted. He doesn't have to take it all at once. He doesn't have to shout, but he knows, deep in his bones, that something is about to shift. As the voices behind the door begin to fade, Malcolm takes one last glance at the boardroom. He doesn't move right away. Instead, he simply stands there for a moment, a flicker of something like a smile pulling at the corner of his lips. It's the first time in years that he feels like he's standing on the edge of something that's finally his. If this story touched something in you, share your city in the comments. Let's see how far quiet strength travels. The days blend into one another for Malcolm. There's something almost mechanical about his routine. The early morning wake-up, the stale coffee he makes in his kitchen, the sound of the old truck engine sputtering to life as he drives through streets that are too familiar to feel anything but ordinary. He can almost predict the hum of the road, the curve of the turn before he reaches it, and the way his fingers will grip the wheel, calloused from years of holding the same position. His life is a rhythm, one that he's never questioned, one that's always felt just right, even if it's never been quite enough. This morning, like every other, he pulls up to the corporate office building. The lot is still empty, save for a few parked cars that belong to people he spent years driving around but never really got to know. The world doesn't see them, and it doesn't see him either. Malcolm shuts off the engine and stretches his legs, feeling the ache in his knees. It's nothing new. Years of sitting and driving, waiting and watching, have left their mark. He's had the same aches for so long, they don't even surprise him anymore. Sometimes he wonders how long it'll be before the routine wears him down completely. The physical pain is tolerable, but the emotional weight is heavier. The quiet defeat that comes with every day he's left behind. No one knows what it's like to be so close to something, to have a front row seat to the show, but never be invited to the stage. He's been watching for years, always just outside of the circle, always just a step too far from something more. He grabs his keys and steps out, his boots crunching the gravel beneath his feet as he heads for the door. The morning light is still weak, the sky a pale blue that stretches endlessly above, but there's no mistaking the stillness of the moment. It's the calm before the storm that's been building inside him ever since he overheard that conversation in the boardroom. He hasn't told anyone what he knows. He hasn't even told himself what it means yet, but he feels it. A shift, a subtle undercurrent that's begun to tug at him from the inside. As he walks through the back entrance of the building, the same fluorescent lights buzz above him. The smell of stale coffee and paper lingers in the air, just like it always has. Nothing's different, except in the silence there's a new kind of awareness, an edge to the quiet that wasn't there before. He passes by the receptionist's desk, but she doesn't look up. She never does. He's just the driver, the invisible man in the background. The person who gets them from place to place, whose name they've forgotten because they never needed it. The elevator dings, and he steps inside, pushing the button for the top floor. Inside the elevator, he's alone, the metallic walls reflecting his face back at him. For a brief moment, he studies his own reflection. The lines on his face that have only deepened over the years, the tiredness in his eyes, the way the years of quiet service have worn on him. He wonders how long he's been standing at the edge of something, waiting for the right moment to move, to step into the light. But every time he gets close, something holds him back. The elevator jerks to a stop, and the door slides open. Malcolm steps out, his boots echoing in the empty hallway. The building is quiet at this hour, the bustle of the office workers still a few hours away. He's used to the stillness. He's always been the one to arrive early, the one who watches everything come to life before anyone notices. His first stop is the break room, where he grabs a coffee cup that's already been half filled with stale coffee from the pot left on. He stirs it absent-mindedly, his mind still replaying the conversation he overheard last night. The deal, the company, the people who think they've got it all figured out. He doesn't know why it's bothering him so much. It's not like he hasn't heard about shady deals before. It's not like he hasn't seen the rich get richer while the rest of them are left with scraps. He's always known how the world works. It's just never been his fight. But something inside him stirs, like a switch being flipped. He sets the cup down, his hand shaking slightly as he traces the rim of it. Maybe it's because he's tired of being invisible. Maybe it's because he's tired of feeling like he's just a cog in the machine. A machine that keeps turning regardless of whether or not he's part of it. He's always been the quiet observer. But what if there's something more he could do? What if he could make this work for him? The thought lingers, but it doesn't take root. Not yet. Not fully. He stands there for a moment, the weight of it all pressing against his chest, before he pulls himself together and heads for the elevator again. He needs to get back to work. There's still a job to do, a route to drive, and people to ferry from one place to another. The world might not know him, but it still relies on him. That, at least, is something. Malcolm finds himself waiting for his first passenger of the day. A corporate executive, one of the men he's driven countless times. He's always had the same unspoken role, just the driver. But today, as the man climbs into the back seat of the car, Malcolm feels something different. A sense of distance, like he's not just a bystander anymore. He's part of something bigger, something he can't quite articulate. The executive is chatting away on his phone, completely oblivious to the fact that Malcolm knows everything. He pulls out of the parking lot, the tires crunching over the gravel as he makes his way through the empty streets. The city still sleeps, the streets quiet and still. The early morning light catches the edge of the buildings, casting long shadows on the pavement. It's beautiful in a way that most people never see. The quiet beauty of a city before it wakes, before it becomes a frantic blur of movement and noise. Malcolm thinks about the people who've passed through this town over the years. The ones who've never looked twice at him, who've never asked about his life, his dreams. They all move through here, just passing through, using the town as a pit stop on their way to somewhere bigger, somewhere better. And he's always been the one who's waited. The one who's never been in the game. The one who's always played by the rules. Who's never pushed back. Never asked for more. But today, there's something different in the air. Something that Malcolm can't shake. It's a feeling like the ground beneath him is shifting. And maybe it's time for him to stop waiting. Maybe it's time to stop being invisible. The executive gives him directions, his voice detached, as though Malcolm is just another part of the scenery, another vehicle on the road. But Malcolm doesn't mind. It's not about him right now. It's about what comes next, what he does with what he knows. The world might think he's just the driver, but deep down he knows something they don't. He's been holding the keys all along. The day drags on like a slow-moving river, the hours blurring together as Malcolm drives his usual routes. His mind is elsewhere, wandering, a little disconnected from the endless streets and passing cars. There's something gnawing at him, a quiet insistence that grows louder with every turn. The feeling that this isn't just another day, that something bigger is at stake, something that's been hidden from him for years. The world outside the car window is its usual blur. The storefronts, the trees, the sleepy houses where people are just waking up to the routine of their lives. But inside his mind, it's different. Inside, everything has shifted. He keeps replaying the conversation he overheard in the boardroom. The deal, the plans, the promises that were made. He's always been a man who knew his place, who kept to the background. But now, in the silence of his car, with the hum of the engine and the occasional rattle of the steering wheel, he wonders what his place really is. Malcolm pulls up to a stoplight, the red glaring at him through the windshield. He taps his fingers on the steering wheel, restless, his thoughts running wild. He's always been a passenger in his own life, never in control, always a step behind. But now he has information. He knows something, and that knowledge is like a key in his hands, turning, unlocking something inside him that he never knew was there. The light turns green, and he shifts the car into gear, driving on autopilot. He doesn't notice when he passes his usual exit, the one that takes him to the diner he likes, or to the park where he sometimes takes a walk when the world gets too loud. Instead, he drives straight, heading toward the one place he hasn't gone in a long time. His thoughts are so consumed by what he overheard that he almost doesn't realize he's heading to the corporate office again. The building that's always felt like a fortress, a place he's never quite belonged. He pulls into the parking lot, his tires crunching over the gravel. The lot is empty now, save for a few cars parked in the far corner. The building looks the same sterile, imposing structure that's been a backdrop to his life for years. But today it feels different. Today it feels like a place of opportunity, a place where something could change. Malcolm kills the engine and sits in the car for a moment, his fingers resting on the steering wheel. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady the racing thoughts in his head. It's almost like a dare to go inside, to push through the front doors and make something of himself. Something that no one has ever expected from him. He doesn't know what that something is yet, but it's there, just beneath the surface, calling to him. His eyes flicker to the glove compartment. It's a small, insignificant space, but today it feels like a treasure chest. He hasn't looked inside it in months, but something about the idea of opening it now feels necessary. Like there's a message waiting for him, like the answer to everything is locked away there. He doesn't know why, but he can't shake the feeling that the key to understanding what's happening lies inside that compartment. Malcolm reaches for the handle, his hand trembling slightly as he opens the compartment. It's just filled with the usual items, maps, receipts, a few old napkins from a fast food joint he passed one evening. But there, at the very back, underneath it all, is something that catches his eye. A folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. The edges are slightly curled, and the paper is worn from years of neglect. Malcolm pulls it out slowly, his fingers brushing against the delicate surface, almost afraid of what he might find. He unfolds it carefully, his heart beating a little faster as the words come into focus. It's a deed, a legal document. The date at the top is old, decades old. The language is formal, written in the thick, legalese style that makes it sound like something from another world. But as Malcolm reads the first few lines, his breath catches in his throat. This isn't just any document. It's a deed to a property, to land that's been passed down through generations. And it's signed by him. His mind races. This deed, this piece of paper, ties him to the very thing that's been discussed in the boardroom, the company, the acquisition, the land. Malcolm has a stake in it. Not just any stake. He owns a part of it, a real, tangible part of the company he's been working for all these years. How is that possible? How could he have missed this? How could he not know? The weight of the discovery settles in like a stone in his stomach. For a moment, he just sits there, staring at the paper, trying to make sense of what it means. It doesn't make sense. None of it does. How could he have been so close to something, to everything, and never known? How could he have been invisible to his own destiny? He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the silence of the car envelope him. It's as if the world has stopped moving, as if time has stretched out, and all he can hear is the beat of his own heart, pounding in his chest. This is it. This is the moment everything changes. Malcolm leans back in the seat, staring at the ceiling of the car. His mind is spinning, the possibilities flooding his thoughts. He's always been the man behind the wheel, the one who takes people where they need to go. But now it's different. Now he knows something. Now he holds the power. But what does he do with it? What does he do with the knowledge that he's been given a seat at the table, even though no one ever thought to invite him? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, as Malcolm folds the deed back into its worn, yellowed paper and slips it into his jacket pocket. For the first time in years, he feels something other than resignation. It's not pride, not yet, but it's something stronger, something deeper. It's a recognition of his own value, of the fact that he's been playing a game he didn't even know he was in. The car's engine hums as he starts it up again, the road in front of him stretching out like a blank canvas. He doesn't know what's next, but he knows one thing. He's no longer just the driver. The game has changed, and for the first time, he's ready to play. Malcolm sits in the car for what feels like an eternity, the engine idling as the steady thrum of the motor fills the silence. The deed sits heavy in his jacket pocket, like a secret that has been waiting to be discovered. His mind races, trying to piece together the reality of what he's just found. How did he never know? How did he miss this? The deeper he thinks, the more he realizes how much has been hidden from him, how many doors have been locked, and how long he's been standing at the edge of something bigger than he ever imagined. He shakes himself out of the fog of disbelief and takes a steadying breath. The discovery has shaken him, but there's no going back. The question now isn't how he missed it. It's what he's going to do with it. The game has changed, and he's no longer playing by the same rules. Malcolm pulls the car out of the parking lot and heads home, his mind spinning with the possibilities. The road stretches before him like an empty canvas. For the first time, he's not just a passenger in his own life. The mom, sidelines, always observed, always accepted his place, feels like it's beginning to wake up. He doesn't know what he's going to do yet, but he knows one thing. He's not going to let this moment slip away. The drive is a blur. His mind is working on overdrive, his thoughts running like an old movie reel. He passes the familiar streets, the same houses, the same storefronts, but today, they feel different. The same town that once felt small, insignificant, is now full of opportunities he never saw before. The buildings are full of stories he's never been told. The people around him, they are all players in a game he's only now beginning to understand. When he gets home, he doesn't even bother with the usual routine. He doesn't go inside, grab a bite to eat, or sit down to relax. He heads straight to his small office in the back of the house, the room that's always been just a place to keep his tools and paperwork. But tonight, it feels like a command center. It's the room where his next steps will begin to take shape, and it's the place where his transformation starts. Malcolm pulls the deed out of his jacket pocket and spreads it out on the desk. His fingers trace the lines of the document again, as if confirming that it's real, that it's not some mistake or some cruel joke, but it's real. Every word, every clause. This is his. He owns a part of the company, a company he's spent years driving for, a company he's spent years helping to build, even though no one ever saw him as anything more than a driver. He sits back in the chair, staring at the document, his mind whirring. How does something like this even happen? How can he, someone who spent years in the background, not even knowing the full extent of his own involvement, suddenly become a part of something this big? He doesn't know the answer, but he knows he has to find out. He has to know how deep this runs and what his role truly is in all of it. There's only one way to do that. Research. Malcolm begins pulling out papers, files, and old notes from the back of the drawer. His fingers move quickly as he sorts through the mess of papers. It's all work-related, receipts, contracts, reminders, things he's kept over the years without really understanding why. Now, they all feel like pieces of a puzzle he's only just beginning to put together. The files are thick, and as Malcolm flips through them, he starts to see patterns. There are names that keep popping up, people who have been involved in the acquisition of other businesses, mergers, and deals. And then there are the financial documents, the spreadsheets, the numbers that he's never really understood, but now they make sense. They tell a story about ownership, about control, about people who have been pulling the strings for years. It's in one of the files that he finally finds it. The name of the man who's been the key to all of this. The man who has been overseeing the company's acquisition. The man who has been orchestrating everything behind the scenes. And to Malcolm's shock, it's the same man he's been driving for all these years. The one who never saw him as anything more than a tool to get from one place to another. The one who dismissed him, who overlooked him, who never bothered to see who Malcolm truly was. But now Malcolm sees him clearly. He's not just a driver. He's not just a cog in the machine. He's been part of the story all along. And the man who once treated him like a nobody, he's now the person Malcolm needs to confront. Malcolm knows he can't do this alone. He needs allies, people who can help him navigate this new world. The first person that comes to mind is Julia. She's a lawyer he met years ago when the company needed legal advice on a contract. She's sharp, smart, and honest, everything the people in charge of the company are not. He's worked with her a few times over the years, but they've never been close. Still, he knows she's the one person who can help him figure out what his next steps should be. He picks up the phone, dialing her number. The line rings a few times before she picks up. "Malcolm, is everything okay?" Julia's voice is warm, a little concerned. "I need your help," he says, his voice steady but urgent. "It's about the company. I just found something big." There's a pause on the other end, a long breath before she responds. What is it? I don't know how to explain it, but I've got a stake in the company. A real stake. And I need to know what that means. Julia is silent for a moment, processing the information. You have what? Malcolm, are you sure? How did this happen? I found a deed, he says, the words coming out in a rush now. And it's mine. It's tied to the company. I need you to help me figure out how this works. How can I use it? I don't know what this means yet, but I'll help you, Julia says, her voice calm but with a trace of concern. Meet me tomorrow. I'll go over everything with you. Malcolm hangs up, the weight of what he's just shared settling in. For years, he's been a background character in someone else's story, a silent witness to all the power plays happening around him. But now he's part of the story, and he's not going to sit on the sidelines anymore. He's ready to take control. The questions are still there. How deep does his involvement go? What does it mean for his future? But they're no longer paralyzing. They're the first step towards something new, something bigger, something that's always been his, if only he had the courage to claim it. Malcolm looks at the clock. It's late, but sleep won't come. Not now. Not when everything is starting to shift. He pushes the papers aside and stands, a sense of determination settling over him. Tomorrow will be the beginning of everything. And tomorrow, he'll take the first real step into a life that he's only just beginning to understand. The next morning comes far too quickly, the cold light of the sun slicing through the window of Malcolm's small office. He hasn't slept much, his mind buzzing with 1,000 thoughts, all pulling him in different directions. What's he supposed to do now? What's the first move in this new life? One where he's no longer the invisible driver but someone with real power, someone whose actions could change everything. The clock ticks steadily in the background as Malcolm goes over the paperwork again, his fingers tracing the lines of the deed. There's a weight to it, something more than just the physical paper. It's as if the very document is heavy with the possibilities of what could come next. He hasn't told anyone about this yet, not even his family. What would he say? I own part of the company now? They'd think he was crazy, or worse, they'd dismiss him. People have always dismissed him, but not now, not anymore. The doorbell rings just as the clock strikes 10 a.m. It's time. Malcolm stands up, feeling the nerves settle deep in his stomach, but he pushes them down. He doesn't have time for fear. Not today. Not anymore. He opens the door to find Julia standing there, a leather bag slung over her shoulder. Her face is serious, but there's a hint of something else in her eyes. She's been through enough of these corporate games to know how they work. But this is different. She's never seen him like this, and maybe, just maybe, she knows that something has changed in him. Malcolm, Julia says, her tone calm but with an edge of urgency. You've been up all night, haven't you? Malcolm nods, stepping aside to let her in. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I keep going over the same questions, but none of them make sense. Julia glances around the room, her eyes scanning the scattered papers on his desk, the half-empty coffee cup, the way the room feels more like a war room than an office. She takes a deep breath, then places the bag on the table. Okay, let's go over this step by step. You found a deed that ties you to the company. How did you even get it? Malcolm shrugs, pulling out the deed from his jacket pocket and handing it to her. It was in my glove compartment. I don't know how it got there, but it's mine. I own part of the company. That much is clear. Julia takes the document in her hands, flipping through it carefully, her eyes scanning the fine print. She's silent for a moment, her brow furrowed. Malcolm watches her, trying to gauge her reaction, trying to figure out if this is good or bad, if this is something he can use to turn the tables. Finally, Julia looks up, her expression unreadable. Well, it's real. There's no doubt about that. But what does this mean for you? How does this all fit together? Malcolm hesitates, the weight of her question hanging in the air. He takes a seat, running a hand through his hair. I don't know. I've been working for them for years, driving for them. They think I'm just the guy who gets them from place to place. But now I find out I have a stake in the company, a real stake. And I don't even know how it works. I don't know what it means for me. But I do know one thing. They've been overlooking me and I'm tired of it. Julia nods slowly, absorbing his words. Okay, let's break it down. The company is up for sale. The deal that's been discussed, the one that you overheard, that's a big part of it. You've got information, Malcolm. You've got leverage. Malcolm looks up at her, his eyes sharp. But how do I use it? I've spent my whole life on the sidelines. Now I've got a piece of this company. But what do I do with it? Julia leans forward, placing the deed down on the table. You use it. You don't wait for the opportunity. You make it happen. You're in a position to change everything, Malcolm. But it's going to take time. You're going to have to be smart about this. No rash moves. You start small, then build your way up. Malcolm nods, the idea beginning to take root in his mind. Small moves. He can do that. It's what he's always done. Take the small wins, stay in the background. But now, the small moves matter more than ever. They can build toward something bigger. And he's finally ready to make them. I've been taking orders my whole life, Malcolm says, his voice quieter now, more reflective. Maybe it's time I start giving them. Julia's eyes meet his, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. That's the spirit. You've got the power now, Malcolm. But you've got to be patient. The people who've underestimated you, they'll keep doing it until you prove them wrong. But you've got time, and you've got the cards on your side. The conversation shifts from theory to action. Julia starts going over the legal implications of the deed with Malcolm, explaining how he can start asserting his position within the company. She helps him understand the financial side of things, the shares, the ownership, and what legal rights he holds. She emphasizes the importance of discretion and planning, telling him to gather more information before making any moves. She also cautions him about the people he's up against. Corporate giants don't just let go of control easily. But with the right strategy, Malcolm could outmaneuver them. I've seen it before, Julia says. The quiet ones, the ones who've been pushed aside, they can be the most dangerous. They've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Malcolm listens intently, taking it all in. For the first time, he feels like he's part of the conversation. Like his opinion matters, like he's not just the guy in the background anymore. He's in the room now. He's at the table. And the people who once ignored him, they're about to find out who he really is. You know, Julia adds, the best kind of revenge? It's served cold. You don't need to make a scene. You just need to take what's yours. Malcolm smiles, the first real smile he's had in a long time. Cold. I like that. Julia stands up, collecting her bag. I'll help you, but you've got to stay focused. You can't let anyone see how much this means to you. Keep your cards close, Malcolm. And when the time comes, you'll be ready. She walks to the door, but before she leaves, she turns back to look at him. This is your moment. Don't let anyone take it from you. Malcolm watches as she walks out the door, the sound of her footsteps fading down the hallway. He feels a weight lift from his chest, a clarity settling in. For the first time in his life, he feels like he's in control. Like the world isn't something he has to watch from the sidelines. It's something he can shape, something he can influence. He doesn't have to be invisible anymore. He glances down at the deed on the table again, his fingers lightly grazing the edges of it. The quiet strength that Julia spoke of is beginning to take root in him. He knows what he has to do now. He knows what the next steps are. Malcolm picks up the phone, his fingers steady as he dials a number he's never dialed before. The number of a former colleague who's always been in the know. It's time to start making his move. The corporate picnic is a strange thing. An event meant to be a casual gathering, a moment of camaraderie and relaxation for the company's employees. But Malcolm knows that for him, it's anything but casual. It's not a celebration. It's a battlefield in disguise. The invitation came as a surprise, a gesture that felt more like an afterthought than a real invitation. His boss, the man who's always called the shots, the one who's never seen Malcolm as more than just the driver, had extended the invitation with a strange, almost dismissive air. "We're having a picnic this weekend, Malcolm," the man had said, his tone patronizing. "Thought you might want to join us." Malcolm had thought about declining, But then he remembered something Julia had said. Keep your cards close. He needed to be there. He needed to see who was on the inside and who was still on the outside. The picnic, with all its corporate cheerfulness, would be his chance to observe, to gather information, to learn how the game was played. It would be a chance to position himself in ways no one expected. He arrives early, the morning sun already warm as he steps out of his truck. The park is filled with picnic tables, tents, and the sound of distant laughter. The grass is freshly mowed, and the air smells of barbecue. For a moment, everything seems normal, the kind of scene that would appear on a company brochure. But Malcolm doesn't see it that way. To him, this is a performance, a show where everyone plays their part. He's immediately met by the usual group of company executives, the ones who have never bothered to know his name. They greet him with forced smiles, their eyes glancing at him but never truly seeing him. He's the driver, the outsider, the person who's always in the background, watching but never participating. But today, that's about to change. Malcolm, glad you could make it. One of the executives says, his voice dripping with insincerity. I trust you'll enjoy the day. Malcolm nods, his expression neutral, his eyes scanning the crowd. He doesn't have to say much. He's learned over the years that silence often speaks louder than words. Instead, he takes in the scene, the way the executives cluster together, their tight little circle, as if they've been in on something he's always been excluded from. It's clear that they see themselves as superior. They think they're the ones who hold all the cards. Malcolm takes a seat at one of the picnic tables, slightly apart from the main group. He watches as they mingle, their conversations punctuated with laughter and self-congratulation. They don't know it yet, but they're playing right into his hands. This is his moment to observe, to understand where the power truly lies, and to position himself without drawing attention. He's been the invisible man for too long, but today that changes. Today he's going to turn their assumptions on their head. He notices something, a small detail but important nonetheless. The company's CEO, a man who has always treated Malcolm like an errand boy, is nowhere to be found. He's used to being surrounded by people, always the center of attention, but today he's missing. It's strange, but it's also an opportunity. The absence of the CEO means the power dynamics are shifting, even if it's just for a moment. And Malcolm knows that this is his chance to make a move, to establish himself as more than just the driver. As the day unfolds, Malcolm stays in the background, keeping his distance but always watching. He watches the way the executives talk about their plans for the future, their expansion strategies, their vision for the company. But there's one thing they never talk about: the people who make it all happen. The workers, the ones who have been overlooked for years. And then, just as he's starting to feel like an outsider again, it happens. The CEO walks in. Malcolm doesn't stand up to greet him. He doesn't need to. Instead, he watches as the CEO strides in confidently, shaking hands, exchanging pleasantries. The man looks every bit the part. The expensive suit, the self-assured smile. But Malcolm sees something different in him now. He sees the cracks in the facade, the subtle signs of someone who is trying to hold on to control but is starting to lose grip. The CEO makes his way over to the executives, who immediately rally around him, eager to bask in his presence. But it's not the CEO who commands Malcolm's attention now. It's someone else. A woman, standing at the edge of the crowd, watching everything unfold. She's older, perhaps in her mid-50s, with a sharp but approachable demeanor. Her name is Elaine, and she's been with the company for years, though she's always been in a more obscure position. Elaine catches Malcolm's eye from across the picnic area. She doesn't smile, but there's something in the way she looks at him, something that feels different from the others. It's recognition. She sees him. For a brief moment, Malcolm feels something stir inside him. It's the first time he's felt like he's not completely invisible. It's a strange feeling, and it unsettles him more than he'd like to admit. Elaine walks over to his table, her steps measured, confident. "Malcolm, right?" she asks, her voice low but clear. Malcolm nods, surprised that she knows his name. "Yes, ma'am. How's your day going?" "Better now that you're here." she says with a small, knowing smile. You've been with the company a long time, haven't you? Long enough, Malcolm replies, keeping his tone casual. He's not sure where this conversation is going, but he's not about to back down. Not now. Elaine sits down beside him, her posture relaxed, but there's an intensity in her eyes that's hard to ignore. You know, I've been watching you, she says, her words carefully chosen. You've got a quiet strength about you, a resilience that most people don't notice. Malcolm doesn't know how to respond to that. No one's ever said anything like that to him before. He's always been the guy who blends in, who disappears into the background. But Elaine sees him. She's noticed him, and that changes everything. What are you saying? He asks, his voice low, but with a tinge of curiosity. Elaine leans forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. I'm saying that you're more than just the driver, and it's about time you started acting like it. Malcolm's heart skips a beat. It's like she's read his mind, like she knows exactly what's been brewing inside him all this time. I don't know if I can, he admits. I've spent my whole life being overlooked. Elaine's eyes soften. Maybe it's time you stopped letting others define you. You've got power, Malcolm. Don't wait for someone of hope. Not the kind of hope that comes with empty promises, but the kind that comes with the knowledge that he can change the course of his life. He can stop being the guy in the background. He can step into the light. The picnic continues around them, but Malcolm isn't paying attention anymore. He's focused on the words Elaine has given him. Words that resonate with a truth he's known all along but never fully embraced. He's been given an opportunity, and it's time to stop pretending he doesn't deserve it. Elaine stands up, giving him one last look before turning to walk away. You're not just the driver anymore, Malcolm. Remember that. As she walks back toward the group, Malcolm watches her go, the weight of her words settling in. He looks around at the executives, at the people who have always dismissed him, and in that moment he knows what he has to do. The game is on, and this time he's not playing by their rules. He's playing on his own. The weeks following the company picnic pass in a blur of calculated moves, subtle shifts, and quiet victories. Malcolm has learned the art of playing the long game, small, deliberate actions that go unnoticed by most but carry the weight of something far more significant. He's stopped thinking of himself as just the driver. Now he's something else. A man with a purpose. A man who's starting to understand his place in the world. The corporate world, he's learned, operates on appearances. It's not about what's real, but what people are willing to believe. The executives, the ones who've always treated him like a background character in their lives, are experts in maintaining the facade. They smile, they shake hands, they pretend to care, but underneath it all, it's all just a game. And Malcolm has been playing their game for years, but now he's playing it on his terms. He's made some discreet moves, quietly studying the company's financials, reading between the lines of the reports he's been given access to. He's learned that the so-called deal that's been the talk of the office isn't as solid as the executives would have people believe. In fact, it's on shaky ground. The acquisition they've been talking about for months is a house of cards, just waiting for someone to blow it all down. And Malcolm is that someone. He spent years watching the company's inner workings, learning its weaknesses, and understanding its vulnerabilities. He's learned about the shady deals, the under-the-table transactions, the things the executives would rather not have anyone know. But Malcolm does know, and he's starting to see the cracks in their armor. The more he digs, the more he uncovers. The acquisition that's been planned for months? It's not as legitimate as the executives would have him believe. There are loopholes, questionable financial dealings, and contracts that don't quite add up. The company that's supposed to be sold to the highest bidder is worth far less than anyone in charge is willing to admit. And the people who are orchestrating the deal, the ones who think they hold all the power, are about to find out that Malcolm knows exactly what they're doing. It's not about revenge. Not really. It's about control. About taking back what's his, about forcing the people who've overlooked him for so long to finally acknowledge his power. Malcolm spends his nights poring over the company's financial documents, piecing together the puzzle in front of him. He learns about the hidden liabilities, the shady deals, the investments that have been disguised as something else. It's all there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice. But that's the thing. No one ever notices the quiet man in the corner. No one ever sees the person who's always there, who's always listening, always watching. But Malcolm is starting to change that. He's starting to make his presence known in subtle ways. An offhand comment here, a quiet suggestion there. He's learning how to use his knowledge to his advantage. And every move he makes brings him closer to the power he's always deserved. And then it happens. He gets a call from Julia, the lawyer who's been helping him navigate this world of corporate power. Her voice is tense, her words clipped. Malcolm, I've been looking over the acquisition deal. There's something you need to know. Malcolm sits up straighter, his heart rate quickening. What is it? The deal you've been hearing about, it's built on a lie. The financials are falsified. There are assets listed that aren't even in the company's possession. And the CEO, he's been hiding liabilities that could sink the entire deal. Malcolm leans back in his chair, the weight of her words settling over him. He's known for a while that something didn't add up, but hearing it from Julia makes it real. The deal that the executives have been talking about, the deal they think is a done deal, isn't as solid as they think. In fact, it's a disaster waiting to happen. I knew something was off, Malcolm mutters, his mind racing with the implications of what Julia has just told him. What do we do? Julia pauses for a moment before responding. You have two choices. You can either keep quiet and let them go through with it, or you can expose them. You've got enough information now to bring the whole deal crashing down. But it's not going to be easy. They won't go down without a fight. Malcolm's pulse quickens as he thinks through his options. He spent his whole life watching from the sidelines, never getting involved, never taking a stand. But now, with the knowledge he holds, he can do something. He can take control. He can expose the corruption that's been festering in the company for years. I'm not backing down, Malcolm says, his voice firm. I've been overlooked for too long. I'm not going to let them get away with this. Julia's voice softens. You're doing the right thing, Malcolm, but you have to be careful. Exposing them means exposing yourself too. They'll try to discredit you, to make you look like you're just trying to destroy the deal out of spite. I'm not doing this for revenge, Malcolm replies, his tone quiet but determined. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, and they're going to know who I am now. Over the next few days, Malcolm begins to put his plan into motion. He reaches out to people in the company who have been in the know, the ones who are just as tired of the corruption as he is. He meets with them in secret, sharing what he's learned, building a coalition of people who want to see the company changed, who want to see the executives held accountable for their actions. But it's not easy. There are whispers in the halls, questions about his sudden involvement. The executives start to take notice of him in ways they never have before. They begin to view him as a threat. But that's exactly what he wants. He wants them to see him. He wants them to know that the quiet man who's always been on the sidelines is no longer content to stay there. The first public step he takes is subtle but powerful. He begins to share small pieces of the information he's gathered, leaking it to the right people at the right time. It starts with a few whispers, a few carefully placed documents, a few quiet conversations. But soon it snowballs. The executives start to panic. The deal that they've been working on is slipping through their fingers. Malcolm doesn't need to make a scene. He doesn't need to shout or make a grand gesture. He's learned that quiet power is the most effective power of all. The more they try to silence him, the more his influence grows. It's like a ripple in a pond, growing steadily until it becomes an unstoppable force. As the pressure mounts, Malcolm begins to see the cracks in the foundation of the company. The once invincible executives are starting to unravel. They're making mistakes, showing their desperation. And it's all because of him. Because of the quiet man who has spent years watching, waiting for his moment. And now it's finally here. Malcolm has all the pieces in place. The deal is about to implode, and there's nothing the executives can do to stop it. He's taken control, and now it's time for them to see who he really is. The morning after the storm begins, Malcolm stands outside the corporate office, watching as the executives file in one by one. It's not the same as it was before. The usual swagger in their steps has vanished. They're tense, furtive, as if they know they're on the brink of something, but they don't know exactly what. The veil is lifting, and for the first time in his life, Malcolm feels a sense of power. Not because of the information he holds, but because of what he's about to do with it. The past few days have been a whirlwind. He's carefully leaked the evidence he's uncovered, starting with the discrepancies in the financials and the acquisition details. The executives' attempts to discredit him have only fueled the fire. The more they push back, the more people start to question them. The more they try to play their usual game of maintaining control, the more cracks appear in their carefully constructed facade. Malcolm watches as the first wave of executives enters the building. The same men and women who once looked down on him, who never saw him as anything more than the driver, are now struggling to keep their heads above water. Their posture is stiff, their smiles forced. They're hiding something, and everyone knows it. It's not just the executives who've noticed the shift. Word has spread like wildfire. The employees, the ones who have always been at the mercy of the corporate giants, are starting to whisper among themselves. They're beginning to see that things are changing. And for the first time in a long time, they're starting to look at Malcolm in a different light. He's no longer just the man who drives them from meeting to meeting. He's the man who knows the truth. He's the man who's been watching all along, quietly gathering the pieces until he could do something about it. And now he's doing something. The power dynamics are shifting, and people are starting to take notice. Malcolm steps forward, heading for the building entrance. His steps are measured, deliberate. He knows this is a pivotal moment, the moment when everything changes. He's not walking into the office as a driver anymore. He's walking in as someone who knows more than anyone else in the room. He's not just part of the company. He's about to take control of it. As he enters the building, the usual security guards wave him through, their recognition of him now tinged with something else. A hint of respect, perhaps. The elevator dings as he steps inside, and he notices that the other passengers seem to give him more space than they usually would. Their eyes flicker over to him, as if they're seeing him for the first time. He's never been a part of this world, but now, for the first time, he's beginning to feel like he belongs. He heads for the break room, where a few of the lower-level employees are gathering for coffee. They look up when he enters, their expressions guarded but curious. Malcolm doesn't acknowledge them directly. He doesn't need to. His presence speaks for itself. The rumors have already started to spread, and even those who don't know all the details are starting to understand that something is happening. As Malcolm grabs a coffee, he hears the murmur of conversation behind him. He knows they're talking about him. It's not the usual idle chatter anymore. This is different. They're talking about power, about what's been hidden, about how the executives have been operating in the shadows. The moment he overhears someone mention the deal falling apart, he knows it's true. The corporate giants are crumbling, and they don't even realize how much control they've lost. Malcolm steps away from the counter and makes his way to the conference room. It's time for his next move. The door to the conference room opens, and the executives are already seated, their faces tight with anxiety. They know that the walls are closing in, but they still hold onto the illusion that they can fix it, that they can make everything right. But they've underestimated Malcolm. They've underestimated the quiet man who's been in the background for so long, who's now taking center stage. Malcolm. The CEO greets him, his voice flat, trying to maintain his usual air of authority. But there's a hint of panic beneath the surface. "We need to talk." Malcolm nods, his posture calm but firm. He doesn't sit down. He stands, leaning against the doorframe, his gaze sweeping across the room, locking eyes with each of the executives. They shift uncomfortably in their seats. They're not used to being looked at this way. They're used to being in control, used to the power dynamics that have kept them in charge. But that's changing now, and they know it. "You've been trying to bury something for a long time," Malcolm says, his voice steady. "Something that doesn't belong in the shadows." The room goes silent. The tension is palpable. No one speaks, but everyone is listening. They all know what he's talking about. They all know that the secrets Malcolm has uncovered are about to come to light. The lies, the manipulation, the shady deals. It's all on the verge of being exposed. "I've been watching you," Malcolm continues, "watching everything you've done. And now I'm not gonna let you get away with it. The people you've ignored, the ones you've taken advantage of, they're not invisible anymore." He's not shouting. He's not making grand declarations. He's simply stating the truth. And it's hitting harder than any dramatic speech ever could. "You think you can control this company. You think you can control me," Malcolm says, his voice colder now. "But you're wrong. I'm not just the driver. I'm not just some background player in your game. I'm the one holding the cards now." The CEO leans forward, his eyes narrowing. "What do you want, Malcolm?" he asks, his voice a low growl. "You think you can bring this company down with some half-baked accusations? You're nothing. You've always been nothing." Malcolm steps closer, his gaze unwavering. "That's where you're wrong. I'm not nothing. I'm the one who's going to take this company back from you. I'm the one who's going to bring it into the light. And you're the ones who are going to fall." The tension in the room escalates as the CEO stands, his fists clenched. "You'll regret this, Malcolm. You think you're the hero of this story, but you're just a pawn. Nobody." Malcolm meets his gaze with a quiet confidence. "You've underestimated me for too long, but that's the last mistake you'll make." There's a brief silence as the weight of his words hangs in the air. The executives exchange uneasy glances, but no one dares to speak. Malcolm has taken control of the room without raising his voice. And for the first time, they all know it. They know that they're no longer in charge. Malcolm turns and walks toward the door, his steps steady, purposeful. He doesn't look back. He doesn't need to. They know who's in control now. The days that follow Malcolm's confrontation with the executives are unlike anything he's ever experienced. The tension in the office is palpable, a crackling energy that vibrates in every hallway, every corner. The power dynamics have shifted, and everyone knows it. The executives who once held all the cards are now scrambling to maintain their grip, their attempts to salvage the company feeling more desperate with each passing day. But the more they fight to regain control, the more the walls around them close in. Malcolm walks through the building now, his steps purposeful, his presence undeniable. People notice him in a way they never have before. Employees who once avoided eye contact now greet him with nods of recognition, their faces shifting between cautious respect and curiosity. There's a whisper of something new in the air, a sense of change, of quiet revolution. They know he's the one who exposed the lies, the one who uncovered the corruption, and now they're watching him, watching to see what he'll do next. For years, Malcolm has been invisible to them, just the driver, just the background player in someone else's game. But now, as he moves through the office, he's seen. He's present. And that alone shifts the balance of power in ways no one can fully understand yet. His phone buzzes on the desk, a text from Julia. "The truth is starting to leak. I'm hearing whispers about board meetings. They're on the defensive now. You're in a position to take control. But you need to act fast." Malcolm doesn't respond immediately. He's already learned how to play the long game, how to let his actions speak louder than words. And right now, his actions need to be precise, calculated. He's not rushing to take the throne. He's positioning himself for the right moment, and that moment is drawing closer. The CEO, once the face of the company, has gone into hiding. His usual bravado has been replaced by an air of desperation. Rumors swirl that he's been on the phone with potential buyers, trying to sell the company off to anyone who will take it, anyone who will save him from the fallout. The once untouchable leader is now cornered, and Malcolm can feel it. Every move he makes brings him closer to the position he's long deserved. But despite the chaos that's unfolding, Malcolm remains calm. He's learned not to show his hand too early. He knows that the key to winning this game is patience, and patience is something he's always had in spades. He spends his mornings in meetings, quietly positioning himself as a voice of reason among the chaos. He listens more than he speaks, observing the growing panic in the executives' eyes as they try to salvage what's left of their empire. The more they scramble, the more they reveal their weaknesses. Malcolm takes note of each slip-up, each moment of hesitation. He's becoming more than just a passive observer. He's starting to shape the narrative. He's starting to take control. And then, one morning, it happens. The board of directors, the very people who have long dismissed him as nothing more than the help, calls a meeting. It's a move of desperation, an attempt to regain control of the company. The CEO is absent, having failed to show up for the second day in a row. His absence speaks volumes. And in his place stands Malcolm, the man they never saw coming. As he steps into the room, all eyes turn to him. The executives are seated at the long, polished table, their faces a mixture of suspicion and resignation. They all know what's coming. They can feel it in the air, the electricity crackling as Malcolm takes his seat at the head of the table. He doesn't need to say anything yet. His presence alone is enough to send a clear message. I know you've all been trying to figure out what comes next. Malcolm begins, his voice calm, controlled. But the truth is simple. The company is broken, and it's time for a change. There's a long pause as his words sink in. The room is still, the silence deafening. The executives shift uncomfortably in their seats, exchanging glances, their faces tight with unease. You all knew what was happening, Malcolm continues, his gaze sweeping across the room. You knew about the shady deals, the lies, the way things were being covered up. You knew, but you stayed silent. And now it's too late. He leans forward, his eyes locking with the CEO's right-hand man. A man who's been with the company almost as long as Malcolm has. The man avoids his gaze, his fingers tapping nervously on the table. Malcolm can see the fear. Already come out, Malcolm says, his voice steady. People are talking, and soon it won't just be the people in this room who know the truth. It will be everyone. The tension in the room is palpable now, thick with the weight of his words. Malcolm can see the executives start to break down. They can't hide behind their masks anymore. The lies are unraveling, and they don't know how to stop it. You have a choice, Malcolm continues. You can step aside. You can admit your mistakes, let the company move forward, and let the people who truly understand how this works take the reins. Or you can fight. You can try to keep control, but in the end, it won't matter. The people already know who you really are. He leans back in his chair, his hands resting on the table, calm and composed. The room is heavy with his words. No one moves. No one speaks. The board members exchange uneasy looks, but no one dares to challenge him. They know it's over. They know Malcolm has won. And then, just as it seems the moment is about to collapse into chaos, one of the senior executives speaks up. He's been quiet throughout the meeting, his eyes avoiding Malcolm's, but now he looks up, his voice shaky. You think you can just take over? You don't know what you're getting yourself into, he says, his words thick with resentment. Malcolm's eyes narrow, but his voice doesn't waver. I don't need to know everything. What I know is this: you've been running this company into the ground for years. It's time for change. And that change starts with me. The room is silent. The executives stare at each other, their faces flushed with anger, frustration, and fear. They know the power has shifted. They know they've been bested by the man they never thought would rise up. Malcolm stands up, straightening his shoulders. I'll give you one last chance. Step aside. Let me take control, or I'll expose everything, every secret, every lie. And when that happens, you'll have nothing left. He doesn't wait for their response. He turns and walks out of the room, leaving behind a group of executives who are no longer in control of their own fate. They've been outmaneuvered, outsmarted, and they know it. The days following his victory feel like both a relief and a heavy burden. Malcolm's new role as the head of the company brings with it a sense of power, but also an overwhelming weight of responsibility. The corporate world that once seemed so far out of reach is now his to navigate, and the realization settles in slowly. This is not just about taking what was rightfully his. It's about rebuilding, rethinking, and, most importantly, earning the trust that has been lost over years of deceit and mismanagement. Malcolm stands at the window of his new office, the same office he's seen countless executives walk in and out of for years. The view is stunning. The city sprawled out before him, the sun setting behind the skyline. But he's not focused on the view. He's focused on the weight of the choices ahead. The challenges are just beginning. The old leadership is gone. The executives who once held the power have either been removed or pushed aside. Their departure, though quiet, has been a victory in itself. But Malcolm knows that power doesn't come with just an office and a title. Power comes from how you lead, how you make decisions, and how you take responsibility for everything that comes after. He looks down at the stack of papers on his desk, financial reports, board meeting notes, proposals. The company's future rests in his hands now, and it's no longer about playing the game from the outside. Now he's inside the machine and he has to fix it from within. The first step? Repairing the broken trust of the employees. They've been waiting for someone to give them a voice, for someone to stand up for them. And that someone is now him. The door opens behind him and Julia steps inside. Her presence a welcome reprieve from the storm of papers and decisions that have been overwhelming him for the past few days. "Malcolm," she says, her voice calm but with a touch of concern. "How are you holding up?" He turns to face her, managing a small smile. "I'm fine. Just a lot to think about." Julia nods, taking a seat in the chair opposite him. "I can only imagine. You've come a long way. But you know, the hard part is just beginning." Malcolm sighs and sits down behind his desk, his fingers tapping rhythmically against the wood. "I know. There's so much that needs fixing, Julia. So much damage that's been done. I'm not sure where to start." Julia looks at him with understanding. "Start with the people, the employees. They've been through a lot. They need someone they can trust. Someone who's going to lead with integrity. Show them that you're not just a new boss. You're someone who's willing to work with them, to listen to them." Malcolm leans back in his chair, considering her words. "You're right. I've been given the keys to this company, but it's the people who will make or break it. I need them on my side. I need them to see that this is about more than just power. It's about rebuilding something better." "You've got the right mindset," Julia says with a smile. "But remember, change takes time. You're going to face resistance, even from those who support you. Not everyone is going to fall in line immediately. You need to be patient, but also firm." Malcolm nods. "I understand, but I've spent too long on the sidelines. I'm not going to waste this opportunity. Not this time." He stands up and walks over to the window, looking out at the city again. There's a quiet strength in him now, a quiet resolve that wasn't there before. He's ready to take control, but he's also ready to face the challenges that come with it. The trust that needs to be rebuilt, the systems that need to be fixed, the decisions that will determine the future of the company. They're all his to make. "I want to meet with the employees," Malcolm says, turning to face Julia. "All of them. I want to speak to them directly, let them know what's happening, what we're doing. It's time to show them that I'm not just some figurehead. I'm in this with them." Julia raises an eyebrow, impressed. "You're not wasting any time, are you?" Malcolm shakes his head, a determined smile on his face. "No, I've spent too many years waiting for someone else to make a change. Now it's my turn." The next day, Malcolm calls a company-wide meeting. It's a bold move and it's risky, but it's necessary. He needs to set the tone, to show the employees that the future of the company is in their hands as much as it is in his. He doesn't want them to think of him as the new CEO who came in and bulldozed everything. He wants them to see him as someone they can trust, someone they can work with to rebuild what has been lost. The room is packed with employees, a mixture of nervous anticipation and cautious hope in the air. Malcolm stands at the front, the weight of their eyes on him. These are the people who have been loyal, who have put in the work every day, even when the leadership above them didn't. They're the backbone of the company, and they deserve more than what they've been given. "Thank you all for being here," Malcolm begins, his voice steady but sincere. "I know the past few weeks have been difficult, and I want to acknowledge that. There's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear about what's going to happen next. But I'm here today to tell you that the future of this company is in good hands. Your hands." He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle in. He can see the skepticism in some of their faces, the uncertainty still lingering. It's understandable. They've been let down before. But Malcolm's not going to let that stop him. He's not just here to talk. He's here to show them that things are different. We've all seen the mistakes that were made, he continues. The lies, the broken promises, the way things were run into the ground by the previous leadership. But I'm here to fix that. I'm here to make sure that we rebuild, that we grow, and that we do it the right way. He lets his eyes scan the room, meeting the gazes of the employees who are looking at him with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. We're going to take this company back. But we're going to do it together. Each and every one of you has a role to play in this. Each and every one of you is important to the success of this company. There's a shift in the room. The tension that was there when he first started speaking begins to melt away, replaced by something else. Belief. They believe in him. And more importantly, they believe in what he's saying. I promise you this, Malcolm finishes, his voice unwavering. I will work hard to earn your trust. I will be transparent with you, and I will always have your back. Together, we will rebuild what's been broken, and we will make this company something we can all be proud of. The room erupts in applause, and Malcolm feels the weight of the moment settle over him. This is just the beginning. The road ahead won't be easy, but he knows that this is the first real step towards something bigger, something better. The future of the company is in his hands now, and he's ready to take control. As the applause dies down, Malcolm looks out over the crowd, a sense of quiet pride settling over him. He's not just the driver anymore. He's not just the background player in someone else's game. He's the leader of this company, and he's ready to show them all what true power looks like. The days blur together as Malcolm settles into his role. The weight of his new responsibilities is heavy, but there's something lighter about him now. It's not the kind of lightness that comes from success or victory. It's the kind of lightness that comes from knowing he's where he's always meant to be, from understanding that this moment, this hard-won moment, is the culmination of years of silent struggle, quiet observation, and patience. He sits alone in his office late one evening, long after the last of the employees have gone home. The building is still, save for the soft hum of the lights above him and the occasional shuffle of papers on his desk. It's a peaceful quiet, the kind of silence that brings clarity rather than loneliness. He leans back in his chair, glancing out the window at the city below. The sun has set, casting a soft orange glow over the skyline. Everything seems to be in its place. The chaos that had consumed the company for so long, the lies, the deception, the backstabbing, feels like a distant memory. And now, in the aftermath, there's a sense of possibility, a sense of new beginnings. Malcolm thinks back to that first moment when he walked into the boardroom, the day everything changed, the day he took control. It wasn't just the confrontation with the executives that made the difference. It was the quiet realization that he didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He didn't need to shout or demand attention. All he had to do was stand firm, be himself, and trust that his actions would speak louder than any words ever could. He thinks about the people who doubted him, the ones who thought he was just the driver, the ones who never saw his worth. They're still out there somewhere, but Malcolm has moved beyond their expectations, their limitations. He's no longer confined by their perceptions of him. He's free to be the man he's always been, to take what's his and to shape the future of the company and his own future in a way that is true to who he is. The sound of footsteps in the hallway breaks his reverie, and Julia steps into his office, a soft smile on her face. She's been there from the beginning, guiding him, helping him see things from a different perspective. She's the only person who truly understands the weight of what he's accomplished, and she's been with him every step of the way. "You've come a long way," she says, her voice gentle but full of pride. "Look at what you've built." Malcolm smiles, but it's a quiet smile, one that holds more depth than anything he could say aloud. He's built something, yes, but it's not just the company he's built. It's him. He's rebuilt the pieces of his own identity, the parts of him that were always hidden, always overlooked. And now they're all coming together. It's not just about what I've built, Malcolm replies, his voice soft. It's about what we've built. All of us. Together. Julia nods, her gaze steady. You've given them something to believe in. Something real. Malcolm looks down at the papers on his desk, his fingers brushing against the edges of the documents. The future of the company is uncertain, still fragile in some places. But he's no longer afraid of the uncertainty. He's no longer afraid of the unknown. He's learned that the real strength isn't in the things he can control. It's in the things he's willing to change, to grow from. I couldn't have done it without you, Malcolm says quietly. I wouldn't have known how to start. Julia gives him a knowing smile. You always had it in you. You just needed to see it for yourself. Malcolm stands up from his desk, walking over to the window once again. The city stretches out before him, the lights twinkling in the distance. He feels a sense of calm wash over him, the weight of the past few weeks lifting just a little. The work isn't over. There's still much to be done. But for the first time, he feels like he can breathe. I used to think I was just the driver, he says softly, almost to himself. Just the guy who got everyone where they needed to go. But I'm more than that. I always have been. Julia steps up beside him, her voice warm. You're not just the driver, Malcolm. You're the one in the driver's seat now. Malcolm smiles, a real smile, one that reaches his eyes. Yeah, I guess I am. For the first time, he feels like he's exactly where he's meant to be. He's not just taking orders anymore. He's giving them. And it's not about power for the sake of power. It's about using his position to create something that matters. To create a company that reflects his values, his integrity, and the strength he's found within himself. The sound of footsteps fades away as Julia leaves, and Malcolm stands there, alone in the quiet of his office, the weight of everything he's achieved settling over him. But it's not a burden. It's freedom. He turns away from the window and looks at the empty chair behind his desk, the seat that once seemed so foreign, so unreachable. But now it feels like his place, his chair, the one he's earned. Malcolm takes a deep breath and sits down, looking out at the city once more. There's still work to do. There's always more to be done. But for now, in this moment, he allows himself a quiet moment of peace. He's no longer the driver. He's the one who holds the keys. And the journey ahead is just beginning. If you've ever felt overlooked, unseen, like you're just another player in someone else's game, remember this. Quiet strength always finds a way to rise. You are not defined by what others think of you. You are defined by what you choose to become.